What's up, guys? This is your boy Krusty, and welcome back to Krusty's Fabrication. Today we're going to jump back on the core support on the Omni and see if we can at least get the top part knocked out. So let's go ahead and get it. Alright guys, let me catch you up to where I'm at now. So I had originally wanted to keep the factory stops for the hood, but it just seemed like it was going to be too hard for me to integrate this piece into it. So what I've done, I've kind of tack welded this piece back into here. I've tack welded this to this bar and then this bar to this jack stand just to kind of get a general idea on where it sits. I am still going to have to come up here and put the thing back in here after cutting it off and put it back up here to locate it. This is around where it needs to be sitting. So the idea I've come up with is I measured in between here and here. I've got these little 1/8 inch plates that I'm going to weld like right here to give me some, I guess, structure there. And then I've got this cut. This is actually almost exactly the width. It might actually need to be trimmed up a little bit. But, so the idea was I figured out that this 1x1 will fit right up inside this, kinda, sorta. Unfortunately, I did, when I cut these sides off, I did lose my radiator mount, so I'll have to maybe tap into this or something. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this up in here and then weld it to here after putting this somewhere over here to kind of spread the weld. So these are actually going to get trimmed up a little bit, but I need to kind of see how much I need to trim after getting these welded in here. So from that being said, that's kind of where I'm at right now, just trying to get everything mocked up in place and figured out exactly where it needs to be. That being said, I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm gonna have to call it a day for today. Man, it was a struggle trying to get this set up, but it's kind of what we're looking for. That's one bar going all the way across there. It actually ended up not being flat here because of the way this is set up and the way this wants to latch in there. Now, the alignment's not perfect right now. I do got a little bit of adjusting to do. It's only tack welded in. I don't know if we can see it. I got my little plate sitting there, and it ended up being not too much for the not too much use for this bar, but at least it filled that hole. Like I said, it's just kind of tack welded in there for now. Alright, let me go ahead and drop it down. I don't know, it's pretty dark right now, but it does go down all the way. It does rub a little bit on the spring for the latch, so I do got to move it, I think, towards the motor just maybe even 1/8 of an inch just to get it off that spring. And then I've got to get the tilt right. I got to get that tilt right to be able to match up with this. It's obviously going to be leaning kind of almost like this is, where it's not quite straight, but that's to get this to where when it drops down it lands right in there. Now I don't have my latch in there right now. I was just doing my best to center that spring into that hole, and it does okay. When it comes down, you'll hear it. Right when you hear it kind of screech and then hit like a springy sound, that's when it's kind of hitting the hole, like the spring is sliding on the hole. So I don't think it's going to quite match up just yet. I'm kind of running out of daylight. I'm tired, my back's hurting, so I'm gonna call it a day and leave it right where it is before I end up messing it up even worse than it is. I'll get back out here on the next week. Hopefully it's not raining. Did get a little bit of a delay because it was raining pretty much all of my last 2 days off, and then I didn't get to do anything there. I am trying to get some work done on the Subaru as well, but that'll be another video. Yeah, we'll be right back. Alright guys, we're back. It's the next week again. I have made a little bit of a change in how I'm doing things. I know in that last clip you saw where I had tack welded in the bar holding the thing, but it was kind of crooked. Let me just go ahead and show you what I got. Alright, so I go ahead and knock it out. As you can see, I do have the little things in there, just kind of tack welded in place. But I went ahead and knocked this out because I just wasn't liking how it was sitting. It was like kind of crooked there based on the way this kind of was welded to there. So what I think I'm gonna do, I've had almost a week to think on it now. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna cut this back out. Just cut the tacks that I put here to put this back on, and I'm gonna put the hinge back in it. I'm gonna attach it back to the top of the hood, actually latch it, close the hood down, and I'm gonna use this 1x1. And what I'm gonna do on this bottom side, I'm gonna cut straps of 1x1 that are, you know, about that thick, and just go here on the sides, on the very sides. And then I'm going to that's going to be permanent right there. I'll fully weld those in. Temporarily to that, I'll take more of this 1x1 and cut some legs that'll come off and go down to this to stand it on. I'll tack weld it to this just to get it in place. That way I can locate it where it's going to be, have it in place exactly where it needs to be because it's latched at the moment. And then hopefully I'll be able to unlatch, you know, hit the thing to latch and pop the hood, and then just build out from there. So that's where I'm at. Alright guys, I just wanted to kind of show you what I got going on. I cut this to length. I did have it overhang just a little bit on the back side. I was originally going to do it on the front side too, but honestly this is going to be so close to the radiator, to the grill, that I really don't need anything to hang too much past here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang this over about 1 inch to give me some room for the latching mechanism here. I'll probably drill a hole in this side right here so that the cable can come through. Actually, I think it needs to be on this side over here. So yeah, so I got this one hanging over about 1 inch. Now the plan is that I'm going to reuse this bar that I cut here. I'm just going to cut the thing off of it maybe, and I want to get this kind of set up in place wherever it's going to go, and then this bar will weld on this end of this bar on each side, so this will kind of stick out, and then I'll have maybe a crossbar come this way across the bottom, so it's raised up about 1 inch right there, connecting these two together, adding some strength on the front, and then I'll have a center support bar that'll come straight up, and that's it. Alright guys, so my welder decided that it is time for me to end the day. I didn't really get too far along. Basically I ran out of wire, so I'm gonna have to go and get some new flux core wire. Hey, that's the name of the game. Sometimes you run out of those. I did get this far though. Got myself this little, I guess, mount built. It's strong enough where it should be able to give me the ability to test everything. I'm gonna go ahead and latch it up there, drop it down, take a measurement for the bar that I'm going to temporarily weld like right here, and then it's gonna tack weld down here just to hold that in place. I might do one here and one here, like kind of give it some structure from side to side instead of just being balanced on one central location. Once I can get that set up, if I like the positioning and it actually operates the way it needs to be, I'll go ahead and cut the structure off of that bar, or I might not, we'll see how it fits, and go ahead and weld that bar to the back of these, and then weld those to the actual structure of the car. That being said, let me go ahead and get this part right here pushed up against that, take a measurement, maybe cut the bar. I'm hoping that this piece right here that I got left over would be enough, but honestly, if I'm doing two, it's not going to be, so I should probably look at other options as well. Alright guys, here's an unforeseen circumstance with this little thing right here that I didn't even think about. It's close proximity to right there. You can see it's directly blocking this hole. I can notch that, but it's not going to do very well. We're going to think of some options. I'm probably going to have to cut this bar out, or at least notch for this. And if possible, I might have to do another notch down in there for this right here. I'm just going to have to work around it. We'll see what's up. Alright guys, here's what I figured out. I went ahead and took the latch out, and I figured out that the bar I was hoping to use for the vertical struts, this is literally perfect for me to do a notch with. So what I'm going to do, I marked it out real good on this one. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. I marked it out there, but I marked all the way around. And I did the same thing on this side, but I didn't mark it on this side just because the latch was in the way when I marked it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch out a square on both sides, and then I'm going to fill, you know, fill the notch with this. And then just on this side, cut out that so it's just an open spot right there. So it'll just be almost like a C notch in a frame. It'll be right there, and that way I can do that. I'll put vertical straps here so that I have the support of this extra. I'm trying to point, so I'll have the support of that extra bar there, and then yeah, we'll see from there. I think I could still push this up. I think I know about how far it was in. I might be able to yeah, work it past there. I think it was somewhere around in there, and then I'll just drop it down, take a basic measurement that I could write down, and I'll just double check it before I actually finish it. Alright guys, this is really going to have to be the end of it for this portion. I'll pick up after I get some more spooling wire, or another spool of wire. I went ahead and got this all cut out, you know, marked out and cut out for the notches. I cut it off of this so that I could get across the top. And what I kind of figured out, like you guys probably figured out on your own, but these little notches that I cut out of here, if I spin them around, I could probably use them right here if I could figure out which one goes where. Let's see, I think this one, it's a hell of a gap to jump. I did clean these up, so they might not be perfect. Also got to pay attention to where I'm at. There you go. So that one's a little better. I think that one probably there. And what I did was, I'd always heard that you want to, when you make an edge cut like that, you want to drill a hole. I don't really think it helped me anyways, because I ended up cutting a little bit over. But what I think I can do is, I think, you know, since these came out like right here, I think I'm just going to take them, spin them, and then flip them this way. And there's my filler piece. I'll just have to tag it in on each side, kind of push it in, you know, make it fit properly. And then so I won't actually have to cut any of the other pipes to make my notches. I just reuse what I cut out. Something kind of like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I said, I just got to kind of figure out how to fill that. Maybe push it over like this or something, or maybe tack it down here and then push these edges over to get it tacked into place, and then just fill whatever gap is there. But yeah, I think that's how I'm gonna do it. I'll get this done when I get my wire next week. Hopefully it don't cost too much. I think it was like 50-60 bucks. Something I wasn't expecting to spend this week, but I'll get it done. Yeah, we'll get that finished up. We'll get that tack back on there. Before I cut this off, I already went ahead and did like a roundabout estimate, and it's actually looking like almost 12 inches exact is what I need for the little risers to come from these corners down to the core support to hold it up. Of course, I'll know a better idea once I get this finished and then tack welded back onto that. That way I can actually mount it up to the hood and, you know, have it physically latched. Once it's latched, I can get a better idea of what the measurement is and see if it is actually close to that 12 inches. That being said, we'll be right back after I get some wire. Real quick, guys, before we get back to the action, let me show you how you can support me if you would like to without spending any extra cash and buying some of the stuff that you already probably buy on Amazon. Okay, guys, what you could do to help support me is you can come on over here to Facebook and follow or add friend or whatever you got to do with this Krustys Amazon links page here. This is what it looks like. And what happens is periodically I'll come here and I'll add products to my photo album. I'm going to try to keep them in order, you know, car audio tools and equipment, car accessories, cookware, you know, just anything and everything that I could find here that I can find a decent deal on. I'm going to post here, and sometimes you might see it similar to this, like this one was save 50% on select products with this promo code. It's only for a limited time. When you see those, just know that these are limited time only options. Sometimes I'll just post the link right here and it'll give like a deal there. I figured that out the other day. It was pretty quick to go to. So yeah, pretty much if you see anything here on this page here that you like and you're wanting to buy, go ahead and click my link and it'll take you directly to that product from my link. And every time you make a purchase using my link, I get a small commission. And that's a great way to help me out if you're buying the products already anyways and you just want to help support me. This is the best way to do it. Alright guys, I went ahead and got my welding wire. I'll show you what I did here in just a second. I don't know if you could tell from the sky, but I've had to wait on weather. I didn't even think I was going to get a chance to come out here today. So let me go ahead and show you what I've got done, and I'll go ahead and get on with the rest of the fabrication on this thing, and hopefully the weather allows me to continue. Okay, as you can see from the last clip, I went ahead and notched this out to make room for both this side and this side. I went ahead and full welded it back in. Yes, I know, welding still sucks, but hey, it holds. Got those were actually the things that I made these filler pieces with, were the same pieces that I cut out of here. I just flipped them 90 degrees and then 90 degrees again. So let me go ahead and get the latch mounted back in here, and I'll get it stuck up on the hood, and we'll take some measurements for what I need to make to hold this up in place. Alright guys, I just wanted to kind of show you this. We're pretty close to dead on a foot. The hood is slightly sitting down a little bit, so I think if I went dead on that foot, as you can see on both sides, pretty close to the same thing. If I go dead on a foot, it should put me up around where it needs to be. So let's go ahead and get two little stilts. I'm gonna cut one that goes from here down to here, down to here. I don't know if I'll have enough space to go maybe here down I might be able to come here and then like triangulate over just to try to add some strength so that when I pop this, it doesn't push down too hard and break. Because I'm gonna go ahead and tack weld these in. I might weld them in kind of solid, something that I can cut out later, but I need this to be pretty solid up and down so that this stays put when I unlatch this to pop it up, because I need this to stay in place so that I can then come back here and weld a bar from here all the way to there. I'm gonna just do one bar that goes from this side over to this side, and it's gonna be right on the back of this part right here and welded to this to hold the back up. So let me go ahead and get all that set up. I'll be right back after it's tacked in place. All right, guys, I got what I hope is a fairly sturdy setup here. I've only done the two. As you can see, it comes out pretty straight, pretty even. What I did was I measured these. They were about 12 inches from there down to the thing. I did not take into account how much would go away when I actually cut it. I didn't take into account of the blade. So what I did, just to add a little more strength down there, I cut more of my 2x2 strap like this, and I just made 2 squares that'll weld to that. It seems to be pretty stout. I can move the whole car pretty much. So I'm gonna attempt to pop the hinge from here. I gotta be careful about this just in case my welds do break under the spring tension. And we're gonna kind of step back a little bit. See if I can set this up and be able to pop it at the same time. If I can even remember where the thing is. I might need a different. Let's see. Let's see if I can get up under there somehow and get that popped. There we go. I got it popped. So now we can come over here, and that's kind of the start of how I want to mount. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave these permanently in place. If I do, I'll come back here and fully weld it. But the next time, let me see. Go ahead and set this up. I'm gonna do a couple test latches. Well, I'm not gonna go all the way down. I just want to test this. We'll see how it works. Would like it to be a little further this way. Okay. Okay. Okay, so what I think I'm gonna do is when I cut the new bar that goes across here, I'm gonna try to push this way just a little bit. You see how there's a little bit of play there? Because what's happening is it's popping up, and this piece right here, the hook, is just completely clear. So I'm gonna push it this way a little bit to get it to latch, to actually hook there. And then we'll see what's up. So I'll be right back. All right, guys. This is kind of like the main structure of it right here. I've already tested it. It latches perfect. I've got it pulled forward just enough to where it catches the hook on the latch so it doesn't just pop right up. we're doing good. I got the top side fully welded in. I might actually keep these. I'm kind of liking them as far as structure is concerned. And what I'll do, I got to try to make this quick. It's about to start raining, so I got to try to make this quick. What I'll do is I'll come in here, try to weld that back into place, kind of make it look somewhat stock. Trim it down here, or I'll probably trim right here so that it fits up there nice. I'll get this to set in place. That way it kind of similarly looks stock. I'm going to take some of that 2x2 and come in here and make some little end caps. And kind of, I'm thinking, when I get this welded in here, take that 2x2 and make like an end cap that comes down here and maybe tie it into here. Just anything I can do to add strength. Same thing over here. End cap, maybe angle it up to there, make like a gusset that'll tie into there. And just everything I can to add strength. Then I gotta come in here. I gotta probably swap out this cable because this isn't, you know, long enough cable. I think I'm gonna have to drill a hole like right there for the cable to feed in so it grabs right here. I think it grabs there. And as you can see, this one's not quite long enough. So I had to get the cable that was originally for this one. This thing is, it's pretty stout now, and it's just mostly tack welded in. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get back a little bit. Get you a nice little look at it from back here. Yep. It may be kind of ugly, and it don't necessarily look factory right now, but I'm kind of running out of the time for the month to get a video out. Got Thanksgiving in 2 days. I'm gonna go ahead and get this edited and go ahead and get it up. This is gonna be the end of this video. We'll finish up the fabrication and dressing it up and everything, make it look good. Probably on the next video for the Omni. Alright guys, like I said, I'm gonna have to wrap it up a little bit because it's starting to rain out, and I gotta clean up my tools and everything first. Like I said, I'm gonna finish up trying to dress it up, strengthening, gussets, stuff like that on the next Omni video. It's possible the next video that could be coming out at the beginning of the year could be for the Subaru. I got some things that I'm changing on that. Some recent developments have come up, so I'm doing a major change on it, and it'll be another project for the build. I can't give away too much right now. You'll just have to see when I get the actual video up. So yeah, once I get this core support finished, then is when I'm going to pull out the motor and start rebuilding it, try to get the thing running. Once it's running, then I'll start on the stereo build, and that's when we'll really start having some fun. But I hope you did enjoy the fabrication of the ghetto fab, whatever you want to call it, radiator core support. I did test the core support too after I welded that top bar in, and it's a little short for the core support, but honestly, where that top bar goes across is directly in the location where the bolts for the radiator go on the top. So that was just better lucky than good, right? So I'll get that done. I still got to make the lower mounts, which I think I'm just going to cut off of the lower part of the core support from the Dodge, or from the Shadow, and I'll figure out where they're going to go, and then I'll weld them to this core support, and then maybe add some gussets just to give a little bit of strength, even though it don't need a lot of strength. Trying to think what else. I'm probably going to use the entire wiring harness out of the Shadow, or yeah, it was my original Shadow, the convertible, because the computer that I'm going to be using for it is out of the Shadow. It's actually for an automatic. I'm kind of doing this number right here with swapping it out to the automatic because that automatic was really reliable, but it also is really sluggish. So I'd like to have the 5-speed and get a little bit of more pep, especially with as much weight as I'm gonna be adding in here with the stereo. Yeah, so we might have to visit that as far as doing a manual swap on that computer. I think it's just like one wire you gotta cross or something. We'll look into that when it comes time. But with that being said, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, go down there and hit that subscribe button, man. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 mark so we can start actually, you know, making something of ourselves. Not far to go. I think I got like 160 subscribers, somewhere around there. 162 maybe. But yeah, like the video, share the video, subscribe, and until next time, have a good day. Peace.